What's poppin', my bad batches? It's me, MT, and welcome back to the Heavy Spoiler Show, y'all. Let's recap and analyze episode 4 of Bad Batch Season 3, yeah? An episode that ends with the intense reunion of Crosshair with his Clone Force 99 brothers. However, what happens with Omega before that reunion is particularly interesting, as I believe it serves to continue this series' goal of slowly teasing Omega as a Force-sensitive clone. So let's get into it, homies. But before I do, why don't you just go ahead and leave a quick like on this video? It really helps me, Paul, and the channel out a whole lot, just as much as subscribing will. But the best way to support the channel, if you guys want to do that, is to become a member at just 99 cents a month. Members get early access to all of our videos, so if getting dope-ass breakdowns early is your thing, then consider becoming a member today. Alright, so episode 4, A Different Approach, begins pretty much immediately where episode 3 left off, with Omega piloting a badly damaged Imperial ship that Crosshair, Batcher, and her stole in order to escape Dr. Hemlock's Imperial Science Facility on Tantus. After crash landing near the town of Lao, Crosshair advises that the group immediately head to a nearby spaceport in order to hitch a ride off of the planet ASAP, as the Empire was sure to track down their stolen ship to that planet fairly quickly. Then the scene transitions to Dr. Hemlock grilling the Kaminoan scientist Nala Se about how the discovery of a successful transfer of midichlorians in Omega's blood could have evaded the detection of Hemlock's science division for so damn long, with Nala Se of course continuing to completely deny that she had anything to do with such delaying tactics, which of course is a flat-out lie, as Nala Se appeared to have been quite aware of Omega's unique midichlorian situation for quite some time and was secretly destroying Omega's blood samples on the low to keep Omega from becoming a disposable science experiment for Palpatine's ends. After Nala Se swears to Hemlock that Emery merely found a common false positive test result, Hemlock informs Nala Se that her fate will be decided as soon as they confirm that statement by testing Omega's blood again. But Omega ain't trying to have all that shit happen, so her and Crosshair head towards the direction of the closest spaceport and steal some nearby clothes as a disguise. To keep the trigger-happy Crosshair from shooting up the place in order for them to steal a shuttle to escape, Omega, having her midichlorians strongly aligned with the life-protecting light side of the Force, manages to convince Crosshair to choose the peaceful dialogue option and try to bribe the shuttle ticketing agent instead. And the ticketing agent, seeing their desperation, decided that she did not give a damn about said desperation and demanded that they pay her 15,000 credits a person in order to sneak aboard one of those ships without chain codes. This leads Omega and Crosshair to head to a nearby bar where there be gambling afoot. And with absolutely no money to bet whatsoever, Omega challenges a nearby Trandoshan to a series of friendly sabacc wagers, with sabacc of course being the same card game that Han Solo would play against Lando in order to win the Millennium Falcon. Just like we saw in everyone's favorite memorable Star Wars film, Solo: A Star Wars Story. However, since that Trandoshan was an idiot and didn't watch the Common Ground episode of Bad Batch Season 1, he did not know that another Trandoshan by the name of Sid Scaleback regarded Omega as a natural strategist and one of the greatest gambling hustlers that she has ever met. But before Omega could completely rob this unlucky Trandoshan blind with her natural gambling abilities, knock knock, who's there? Oh my god, it's British space Nazis yet again. While Imperial Captain Man waltzes into the bar to collect his cut of the local economy like the thug that he is, Man notices Omega win yet another match of sabacc. And because Captain Man had yet to fulfill his quota of beating a child at a card game for the day, he forces Omega to play an illegal game of sabacc with him. A game that Omega wins yet again due to the hidden Millennium puzzle under her jacket. She trusted in the heart of the cards, Yugi. But anyways, after paying Omega the $20,000 that she won fair and square, Captain Man would make the unmanly decision to make Omega fork over 10,000 credits for illegal gambling, which Omega reluctantly does in order to keep Crosshair from turning Captain Man into Captain Man-knee blaster holes in his torso, because Crosshair be about that life. But although Omega and Crosshair figure that this would be the last that they ever see of Captain Man, they would soon discover that on top of being a sore loser, Captain Man was also an alien dog thief, which is 10 times worse than being a sore loser, as the captain would order his stormtroopers to seize Batcher for transport. Then, after forking over 5,000 credits credit of her remaining credit winnings to a boy with information about Batcher's whereabouts, Omega does not hesitate to chase after her beloved Lurkahound, despite Crosshair's protests to leave Batcher behind. But as we've learned time and time again in this series, leaving people behind just isn't Omega's style, a character trait that Crosshair recently benefited from himself after Omega freed him from his Tantus prison cell. However, as soon as Omega and Crosshair arrive at the animal cargo loading bay that Batcher is at, they find Captain Man and his men waiting for them, with Captain Man revealing that he figured out that they were Dr. Hemlock's missing clones as soon as he got reports of a crashed Imperial shuttle near his town of Lao. And with no other choice, Omega gives Crosshair the go-ahead to let him do what he does best and open fire on Captain Man and all of his Captain Men. And while Crosshair is doing so, Omega goes right to work and immediately frees Batcher from his cage, along with every other animal being held as Captain Man's cargo. And when Omega is accessing the terminal, we can actually see the words "unlocking all cargo" written in Aurebesh on the screen. And as the cages fly open in response, we can also see the Aurebesh words "caution volatile contents" on a sign plastered on one of those cages. And unfortunately for Captain Man, the chaos of all of those animals being released would end with him being dragged by a tentacled arm into a nearby opened cage behind him and absolutely torn to shreds by the creature inside, with the creature inside most likely being a Ranthar, the same type of creature that almost ate Finn and Rey on Han Solo's cargo ship when Han first meets Finn and Rey in The Force Awakens. But anyways, after Omega and Crosshair steal the cargo ship, Dr. Hemlock and his team arrive on the planet that Omega and Crosshair were on after tracking down the ship that they stole from Tantus. After being told that Omega and Crosshair were indeed there, Hemlock orders Commander Scorch to do whatever it takes to find them. Then the episode of course ends with Omega reuniting with Wrecker and Hunter after using the cargo ship to send an encrypted message to them to meet on a nearby planet. A super emotional and happy reunion quickly undercut by the awkward reunion of Crosshair with his Clone Force 99 brothers. Brothers that clearly harbor a great amount of distrust, resentment, and suspicion towards Crosshair after he willingly betrayed his clone family for the glory of the Empire, setting up what is sure to be a tense brotherly makeup session in the coming episodes, especially after the Bad Batch are still reeling over the death of Tech in Season 2. But recapping aside, what I love the most about this episode is how it continues to tease what makes Omega so damn valuable to Dr. Hemlock and the Empire: Omega's special magic blood. In episode 1 and 3 of this season, we learned that Emperor Palpatine had a secret laboratory on Tantus headed by Dr. Hemlock. And at that laboratory, Hemlock was charged with experimenting on all of the clones in that facility with the goal of finding a way to transfer the midichlorians of an original specimen to another clone body, without losing any midichlorians in the process. After testing countless clone trooper blood samples in their midichlorian counting machines, it was finally discovered that Omega's blood produced the exact result the Emperor wanted: a subject whose midichlorian count matched or exceeded that of the original blood sample. And while it hasn't been revealed just yet as to whose magic blood is being used as the main specimen sample being tested against, Hemlock's tour with Palpatine in episode 3 seems to strongly imply that the original sample's blood was none other than Palpatine's blood, which makes sense considering that we do learn in the sequel trilogy that Palpatine was using cloning technology to unnaturally preserve his life essence into a new Palpatine clone body after his death. Palpatine would, of course, use a bit of that cloning technology in the development of the Strandcast clone, Supreme Leader Snoke, as well, which is why Palpatine and Snoke were crazily overpowered in those sequel movies at the great cost of the disfigurement of their genetically modified cloned bodies. And the microscopic midichlorians in the blood are the direct source of all of that power. With the more midichlorians one has in their blood, the less effort that person has to make to connect to the Force. Which is why we learn in the last season of The Mandalorian that Moff Gideon was using similar midichlorian cloning science in order to make an army of Gideon clones able to easily tap into the Force. So basically, it seems like Omega's entire existence is due to Palpatine wanting to make himself a storage of cloned versions of himself that had an equally strong or stronger connection to the Force than his body had originally. This all being said, this episode being centered around Omega gambling for the ability to buy a way off planet was meant to subtly showcase how all those midichlorians in Omega's blood give give her a natural connection to the cosmic force, and as a result, extraordinary degrees of cosmic perception, the same levels of perception and foresight found within the greatest Jedi of the Jedi Order during the height of the Clone Wars. Like I alluded to before, we actually got our first look into Omega's gambling proficiencies in Bad Batch Season 1 Episode 10, when she uses her enhanced intuition in order to help Sid cash out on some hollow chess bets. Much like the Jedi's connection to the cosmic force afforded them the ability to sense the future and strategize on the fly, it appears that Omega is unknowingly using her high midichlorian count to her advantage in order to beat Captain Man at a not-so-friendly game of sabacc. The best example of a Star Wars character who subtly exuded a high level of force sensitivity has got to be Princess Leia, especially during the Obi-Wan series when we got to see her as a little girl. Not only was Leia extremely perceptive of people's inner thoughts and feelings, like she was with her cousin and Obi-Wan Kenobi, but her high M count also allowed her to withstand intense force interrogation techniques from Reva with absolutely no effort. Her connection to the force would of course increase with age as she would grow up to be remarkably resistant to the Empire's mind probe in the original trilogy, and would eventually evolve her connection to the cosmic force to be able to contact people that she loved over long distances, and even sense the oncoming death of her unborn son years in advance. So, given the super crazy amount of midichlorians in Leia's blood from being the daughter of Anakin Skywalker, Leia using the Force to pull herself through space with ease in The Last Jedi makes perfect sense. I mean, regardless of whether or not you love that moment in that movie, that's just the power of midichlorians, baby. But anyways, the point is, as Bad Batch continues, keep a special eye out for how Omega's potentially high midichlorian count affects her behavior and actions, not only in the realm of enhanced cosmic perception and strategizing, but also in Omega's deep respect and connection for all things living, as microscopic midichlorians in the Star Wars universe have a deep connection with the living force that resides within all living organisms as well, which is why Omega is famously fantastic with animals. But Omega aside, I think there's also a chance here that by the end of the series, we'll also learn that every Jango Fett clone with divergent DNA might also be blessed with a slightly increased midichlorian count as well, which would actually serve to explain why the Bad Batch have higher levels of empathy and skill than regular clone troopers, especially Hunter with his own ultra-heightened senses and perceptions, and even Crosshair with his insane precision. Like, even though their blood wasn't enhanced with as much midichlorians as Omega's was, I still think that it's possible that the Bad Batch still had their M count raised slightly above that of normal clone troopers, allowing the Bad Batch to perform at a higher level than these average clone troopers. I mean, yeah, they would be considered failures in Hemlock and Palpatine's eyes due to their own specific needs, but their instincts could very well have been amplified due to having a very slightly enhanced connection to the cosmic force. And though not part of the Bad Batch himself, Boba Fett could also be one of these clones with a slightly enhanced midichlorian count, courtesy of Nala Se. But that's just a theory, to be honest. Just keep an eye out on Omega's growth and actions throughout the rest of the series, because it's clear that this show is setting Omega up to play a massive role in Palpatine's story. But anyways, that is it for this breakdown of episode 4 of Bad Batch Season 3. How do you guys feel about this season so far? Let us know in the comment section down below. And of course, shoutouts to our editor Matt, who helped me with a couple of details from this video. You can follow me at Mastertainment on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, or wherever I am on the internet. But most importantly, you can follow Heavy Spoilers here on YouTube. And when you do not forget to hit that notification bell so that you can get notifications every time we upload a video. And hey, don't forget, for just 99 cents a month, you can become a member and get early access to all of our videos before everybody else. It really is the #1 way to leave us a tip if you guys like what we do here on the channel. But like always, thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to me ramble about random things on the internet. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.